Okay, I want to briefly talk about something, right? So, I want to talk about how black women, and it's just something I just kind of heard. I hear it often. I'll say this: black women do not owe black men any explanations, right? Here's why, and it has nothing to do with being bitter, upset, anything like that. Black men like to question the choices that black women make when it comes to their dating choices, when it comes to their hair, when it comes to them wanting to be independent, and it's not that they don't have valid questions, but at the same time, you need to turn and ask this black man, why aren't you a patriarch? Why don't you protect and provide for your communities? Okay, until they can do something about their communities, until they can learn how to protect and provide for their women, until they can learn how to be father figures in their households for their sons and their daughters, because a lot of women do not know how to choose the right man because they don't know what a real man look like. Contrary to popular belief, black women really aren't exposed to non-black people that much. You hear black women talk like they know so much about the white woman, like she knows so much about the white man, and like she knows so much about the Chinese woman, and all this stuff, But in actuality, a lot of them are mostly in black neighborhoods. Most of them live in black neighborhoods. I'm not criticizing it, but I'm just saying that's sheltered, okay? If you mostly live in black neighborhoods, and then most of your interactions are just around a majority black people on a daily basis, and maybe 20% of the time out of the 7 days of the week, maybe only 20% to 30% of the time you're around non-black people, but for the most part you're living in black neighborhoods. And your interactions are mostly around black people. So contrary to popular belief, a lot of black women do not know much about non-black people, right? They think they know based on a lot of what they see on social media, but they're not really having the interactions. So I say that to say that black women, a lot of them have not chosen good partners because just like the male, they didn't have a positive father figure either. They needed a positive role model. We are in a patriarchy, and I said this before, took issue with certain women it's nothing wrong with being matriarchal. I mean, it's nothing wrong with, believing in building tree houses and living in the woods and surviving with the gas mask on your face, just in case something pop off in the atmosphere, and, having plenty of food and filters. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, to me, it's unfair to tell a group of women who were born into a patriarchy. This is not the matriarchy that took place hundreds of thousands of years ago when there was parthenogenesis and women only reproduced themselves because they just had the XX. Okay, and the Y is a mutated X. These women are not living in those times, and they have no concept or perception of that time. So it annoys me that you have some women that feel like so many black women should just have that kind of consciousness without really knowing anything about it, not even reading about it, or haven't even heard about it. Okay, what they know is what they have seen in their daily life. And what a lot of black women have seen in their daily life is what goes on in the black neighborhoods. Okay, what happens in the black neighborhoods. And most of them did not have a positive father figure who was a provider, whether the man was rich or poor. They did not have a positive father figure who taught them values, who taught them the game when it comes to men. Because I'm going to tell you something, regardless of what women know, a man can tell you how another man is better. When I hear men talk about other men, I listen to them because they know. There's something about listening to a man. They recognize game. And so sometimes I do like to listen to what men have to say about other men. But see, that's a problem when you have these black women that did not have that coming up. So it gets to a point where, back to the original, because I'm not going to get too far off. These black men really do have a lot of nerve, but we already know that. I don't stay on it because they don't care. And that's why I feel like, but it's not going to happen, that black women just should not answer them. They should not answer to them when these black men come to them with these questions about why do black women choose the kind of mates that they choose. Because black women, for the most part, will not date interracially because they are not accustomed to other people. A lot of times they don't date interracially because they're not accustomed to being around other people. Like I said, contrary to popular belief, a lot of black women ain't around non-black people like that. They're not. Besides maybe working with them, besides maybe going to the mall, okay, and besides going to Golden Corral or Applebee's, besides those things, going into public and just being around non-black people because you're in a public space, besides those things, black women they're not really used to non-black people like that. They're not. They're used to their own culture. They're used to their own communities, and they do not have an open mind. And unfortunately, Asian women and white women can stay in their communities. They can only be raised in their communities too. But for some reason, they seem to have more of an open mind. But the reason why a lot of these ladies have more, because I'm not going to just tear down a black woman today. Okay, and I never really tore down a black woman. I told the truth on the some of the innate evilness in them, but I talk about the evilness is because I talk about the matriarchy that existed before patriarchy. A lot of people think I'm just they trying to talk about the Black Panther and civil rights and what black women went through. I go back, I go further because that stuff stays in your cellular memory. I don't care what year it is. And I go back to the time where there was a matriarchy and black women helped create that patriarchy for these black men to tear them down. Okay, so that's why I say they're innately, a lot of them, especially some of these ones that want to hold, some of these black women that want to hold black women back, they're evil. And you got to see it that way, that a lot of these women are just, evil. But I don't want to, that's another point. Some people find that hard to listen to because they don't understand how I'm thinking. But I don't want to get off on that point, though. The point I was making right now is the people, these black men, specifically these black men, because I can understand black women kind of getting frustrated, especially black women who have been trying to, talk to black women, shed lights on certain things to black women, and try to, have platforms where they try to reach black women. And for the most part, you have some black women who listen, but it's still so many that just want to argue, right? I can see the frustration in those black women because they try so hard, and they spend so much of their energy with hardly anything, without hardly any kind of return on the energy that they put out. I can see that, but I'm talking about these black men. How much energy has black men put into actually helping black women and girls? Okay, when these little black girls go missing and I see some of these black women try to get on their pages with these articles talking about little black girls that have gone missing, and I've been seeing a lot of them lately. Since last year, a lot of these black women with hundreds of thousands of subscribers really have been sharing what's been going on with a lot of these little black baby girls and the young women. And you won't see not one comment come from a black man, but yet he got the doggone nerve to ask, why do black women choose what they choose? The reason why black women can't hardly choose the right mate is because they're not used to other races of people. The black women just have to date interracially. It's just a fact. It's not to say that it's not to try to put nobody else above the other person. It's that black women don't open up their options. And the fact that so many black girls can go missing and so much can happen to black women, and I look at these videos and I don't see one black man in the comments showing any kind of concern, just shows the reason why black women make poor choices, because they're with a group of men who don't care whether they live or die. Okay, for the most part, these men don't care whether their mothers live or die. Okay, And they're just not providers. Like I said, there was no, just like the male needed just like this black male needed a positive role model, so did the black girl. The black girl needed someone to look at too. We're in a patriarchy. And so she's not going to just know out the blue how to choose the right man if she has a mother that didn't really choose the right man, right? And so the curses, the cycles keep continuing, okay? The negative patterns continue, okay? Because maybe that mother also did not have a positive male figure in her life, okay? And because these women are not comfortable with getting outside the box and looking at other groups of people, looking at other groups of men, being around other groups of people, they're not comfortable with being outside the box. They're going to continue to choose wrong because they limit themselves to a group of men that are not providers. Okay, you have a group of women that really don't know what a positive black male role model even looks like. And they limit themselves to a group of men who do not provide or protect them. Okay, they would choose better had they expanded their options to other groups of people, other groups of men. But they are they're very sheltered in that way because they like to stay in their comfort zones. Okay, for the most part, a lot of them like to stay in their comfort zones. Okay, and as long as they stay in their comfort zones like that, they'll never choose a better mate for themselves because they're limited. Okay, the fact that most of these women have not had a positive male role model in their life as a father goes to show that the pickings are pretty terrible. But they still want to stay in that comfort zone and they still want to stay within their race, and that is their right. But they will always just not choose right. They will always choose wrong because that's what they want. They want to stay comfortable. Okay, they're sticking to what they know. Okay, being around another group of people, that means they have to rearrange their consciousness. They have to rearrange the way they see things. They have to rearrange some of the interests they have. And a lot of black women do not want to do that. And it's not always about, when people speak of dating interracially, it doesn't have to do with, it's not always about a complexion either. It's just, because for some reason, when you say interracially or even interculturally, people, because we're in the United States of America and it's more white men, black women automatically think you're just talking about a white man. But there's more men that exist in the world. And who said that you had to stay in the United States? Okay, that's what I'm talking about, that very sheltered, narrow-minded mentality. That's the reason why they cannot choose better, because they have a narrow-minded mindset, and they don't want to grow out of it, because growing out of it means that it's uncomfortable, it requires work, it does require leveling up, and it requires actually putting in the work to rearrange your consciousness. And if you are happy going to that hole in the wall, to party and club, if you are happy listening to all the black music, all that hip hop, if you're comfortable with all of that, you're not going to want to really level up and change to make better decisions for your life, because you like where you are, and that's just what it is. Black women will start making better choices in men when they get outside of that black culture. Check out my video called "The Black Culture is Slavery for Black Girls." Okay, the video is called "Black Culture is Slavery for Black Girls," and you'll see exactly why black women have a habit of choosing wrong men. Okay, but to end this, I want to stick to the title. These women, they're going to continue to explain themselves. So that's why I say this is my opinion. So some people like to say, well, black women ain't going to listen. I'm not trying to get black women to listen to me. I'm not trying to get them to listen to me. If I really wanted black women to hear what I had to say, I would use other platforms besides YouTube to get my point across, but I'm not doing that. So I'm really just sharing my thoughts. I'm not really trying to reach people like that, okay? So whether they listen to what I have to say or not really does not matter to me. I just share my opinion. I get it off my chest, and that's the end of it, But just to end, I'll say Yeah. At the end of the day, regardless of the decisions that black women make, black girls make, black men ain't got nothing to say. It's just a fact. They ain't got nothing to say. Where is your patriarchy? You ask me a question when you become a patriarch. When you become a patriarch, then you can start asking the women, your so-called women, your so-called queens, whatever you like to call them, your so-called sisters, you know, then you ask them questions when you decide to be a doggone patriarch. But until then, the black women don't owe them a doggone explanation, regardless if they poop on the ground every day. Instead of using a doggone toilet, black women don't owe no explanation to no black man. Unless, the only time a black woman will owe an explanation to a black man is if it is a black man that has genuinely cared for her, who has had her back, such as a good brother or a good father or a good cousin or uncle. Okay, those are the only black men that a black woman will owe an explanation to, because those men have been loyal to her. Other than that, black women don't need to explain nothing to no random doggone black men, because they need to work on how they're going to protect their own boys. They need to work on how they can stop shooting each other. Okay, they need to work on what kind of money they're going to put together for schools. They need to work on what kind of gas stations they're going to put in their communities. Okay, they need to work on their patriarchy. They don't need to be asking women about their choices when they are not patriarchs and they're literally just existing. That's the only thing they're doing, is existing. Black women are giving birth to these guys so they can, I guess, can get some money and get themselves a non-black woman, or just, I don't know what they're doing, you know, or just do whatever, just exist. You're not really building for anybody. Okay, not really building for anybody. Okay, so because even when these other black guys go to these non-black women, I hear women say, oh, when these black guys get money, then they get themselves a white woman because they see it as a come up. Yeah, but you got to understand, these black men still ain't building up no communities. They still going in the white man's community or Asian man community. Okay, like Calabasas. Black men did not build Calabasas, and I'm talking about the way it looks now. Okay, I'm not talking about no slavery. I'm talking about the way Calabasas looks right now, because that's why a lot of successful, when black men become successful in LA, the place that they go is Calabasas. Okay, and but that place was built up the way it looks now. That was built up by white people, Mexican people, Asian people. Black men did not build that place up. So regardless of whatever kind of money they making so they can get themselves a white woman, at the end of the day, they still have not built any communities. They still have not built any they still don't have any gas stations. They still don't have movie theaters. They're still going into either a white patriarchy, an Asian patriarchy, a Hispanic patriarchy. They're still going into somebody's patriarchy with that woman, okay, and living in those neighborhoods in that patriarchy. Okay, they're still not building. So no, they still don't build. And until they learn how to build like other groups of men, then nobody owes, not one woman in the world owes them an explanation on why a woman chooses the type of man she chooses when they just do not build. I think it was Manning, I think he called him, it's Reverend Manning, talked about how the black man don't understand how the world works. And I think he said that they haven't built so much as a ship or something. Now, this is a black man that said this, okay? So I think his channel is called Atlah Worldwide, ATLAH Worldwide. I used to listen to him like a couple of years ago because I just like to hear what he had to say about, you know, the black men. And the reason why I like to hear what he had to say, because it's coming from a black man himself. And so, like I say, when I hear men talk about other men, I'm going to listen to what they have to say, because game recognized game. It's just how it is, you know. So he talked about how black men just don't understand how the world works. And until black men, they understand how to get money in their pocket, but they do not build like other men. They just don't. They can go to these Latino women all they want to. They can go to these white women and these Chinese women, Japanese women all they want to. But at the end of the day, even if they leave the black neighborhood and go stay in another rich neighborhood, they're staying in a neighborhood where the houses were either built by Mexicans, the houses were built by white men, The houses they're going into a community where other men have built. Okay, they're not building. Okay, and so that's the end of that. And so that's all I want to say of how women, period, but especially black women, don't owe any kind of explanation, regardless of whatever decision she make, whatever kind of poor decision she might make. She don't owe him any explanation until he learns how to be a patriarch. And this mother can't teach him how to be no patriarch. And black women need to stop acting like they're going to teach this black man how to be a patriarch. I've seen it recently in a comment where I think it was under a YouTuber's video. I think this is a bigger YouTuber. And the black woman was like, oh, I've got my son. I'm raising him to respect women. I'm starting him off right. See, there you go. But what is his father doing? Because now, see, there you go again. You haven't mentioned his father yet. So you think you're going to be enough for him. You're in a patriarchy. Get it through your head. I'm sorry to yell. Sorry about that. Get it through your head that you're in a patriarchy. This is not matriarchy that took place hundreds of thousands of years ago before patriarchy. Okay? You're in a patriarchy. Get it through your head what he's going to be exposed to. And you're not going to just be enough without this black boy having some kind of male role model. You're not going to be enough. And black women and I'm talking about specifically the black American women, because when I talk to African women, they don't say stuff like that. It's this black women that always think, the black American women, let me be specific, the black women in the United States, not all of them, of course, but I'm talking about a lot of them. They feel like they can raise this black boy by herself and she is enough to teach him how to be a man. Because when this black woman said that, oh, I got sons and I'm starting him off right, I'm teaching him to respect women, and I'm teaching him to such and such and such, and I'm teaching him to go and get his education. Okay, but I didn't see one time in that comment where she mentioned the father. You see this? Too many black women are just getting used to raising these black males without a father around. And that is a problematic. And black women do need to stop supporting these kind of women that feel like they can just raise this black boy to be a patriarch all by themselves, because they keep doing this over and over again, and they don't see the need for this black male to have a positive male role model in his life. She think that she's enough to teach him how to be a man. And black women, no matter what you tell them, they keep doing this because because they're trying to prove something within themselves. They are really the only group of women that feel like they can teach a black boy to be a patriarch like other patriarchs. A lot of those other patriarchs had some kind of male role model, and this black woman just think that she's going to be enough without some kind of a father figure around. And no matter what, it's 2020, and no matter what you tell them, they don't get it. A lot of them, okay, don't get it. And it's to the point where you might have to stop supporting these black women with these black male sons. You might have to turn your back on them. They don't want to listen. At 2020, I can see in the 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, giving birth to this black male and trying to do it by yourself. And because you didn't have a choice, right? But even 2019, even 2018, even 2020, 2015 up to 2020, some people might have different dates, but, definitely those dates right there. Black women who still feel like they're going to give birth to this black male child without a positive father figure after looking at what's happened through the decades, especially in the last 40 to 50 years, longer than that, but especially in the last 40 to 50 years. Looking at the consequences of not having a positive male role model, you still have black women that still giving birth at this time, right? At this time. Okay, they still giving birth at this time to this black male and not really caring whether he has a positive male role model in his life, because she still feels like she's enough to teach him to be a man. And at this point, these type of black women just like being hard-headed, and they don't deserve your support. Turn your back on them. You find a black woman that does that, it's best to turn your back on them, because they're trying to resolve something within themselves to make them feel like they're going to give birth to this black male, and then not have any kind of positive male role model around him, as if she's enough. I don't know what she thinks she is, but I keep saying this is a doggone patriarchy, and he's going to be exposed to certain things. You bringing him in a system of a patriarchy where where certain things have already been in place for a very long time, and you just want to change up stuff. So it's something that these women are trying to work out within themselves, and it has nothing to do with me or you or anybody. At this time, because black women have been told so many times, like I say, black women who gave birth in the 90s, to early 2000s and all that stuff. Okay, yeah, even though some of them should have known better, at the same time, they weren't exposed to as much information as some of these ladies are now. So due to the fact that they weren't exposed to as much information as some of these ladies are now, I kind of, even though I sometimes I think some of them could have chose better, I'm not holding it against them as much as women who heard the Kendall St. Charles of the world, who listened to the Crystalline Carrisons of the world, who listened to the Muslim Bushidos and the Deborah Coopers of the world, and a whole lot of other women. I'm not really into social media. It's a whole lot of other women besides the ones I just named. So the women who had the pleasure of listening to a lot of these women prior to having this black male, but they choose to go on and have this black male anyway without considering a male role model. I say it's best to turn your back on them at this point, because it's something they're trying to resolve in themselves, and unfortunately that black male child is going to suffer, and everybody else in the black community is going to suffer too. Okay. But that's all I got to say. But yeah, I just end this with the title. With all that being said, still, the black women don't owe black men any explanations about their choices, whether poor or good. They don't owe the black male any explanations until they learn how to be a patriarch. And that'll be it. Okay.